Ladies and gentlemen, welcome. This is the top 15 list, and coming in at number 15 is Luke Gallows and Carl Anderson holding on to the Raw Tag Team titles twice, basically the whole season. They only held it for, 50 or 40, 41 episodes, something like that. 40, high 40s. But regardless, 46 episodes, but regardless, they made their mark holding on to the Raw Tag Team titles, being a 5-time Raw Tag Team champions. I know it's not significant, but they just barely beat out DIS as a tag team, because DIS only formed in the back half of the season and almost got there. But that's an honorable mention right there, DIS as a team. 14th, we're actually going to see a draw for the first time ever. I had a tie on who I was placing on this. It is Roderick Strong tied with somebody else, but Roderick Strong had a giant story arc in NXT. Subtle that it may have been, losing his job at near the beginning of season 4, turning face because of Tommaso Ciampa beating him and retaining the Cruiserweight Championship. But Roderick Strong, when Triple H took over, got a second chance to get his career back. All he had to do was beat Jeff Sanders to get an opportunity. He did that, and then he fought Tommaso Ciampa for the Cruiserweight title to win it and get a huge pop, and then carried that title with pride for quite some time. But a subtle story arc that paid off, and if people paid attention to it, there was a huge payoff for the ones that did. And tied with him, it was a very tough choice. It's just I couldn't make a decision. It is drum roll. This video is very long. But coming in at number 14 as well, the only draw in this card is Johnny Wrestling, one half of the SmackDown Tag Team Champions. He struggled all through the season, switching between NXT and the main roster, having great matches with Jeff Sanders and then Harvey as well, teaming up at some points. I mean, he even had a great match with The Undertaker, teaming up with Daniel Bryan, having a rejuvenation for his wrestling career in WWE, in Universe Mode, winning the SmackDown Tag Team titles with them in a huge ovation at the Royal Rumble. And right now, it's currently the highest rated match by everybody voting so far. And speaking of the voting, I'm going to put the link for the voting in the description. I'm going to try to, and in the comments section, to vote for matches of the season, who was the best person of the season, in the future. But Gargano, great job, also had a great match, TLC with DIS, and ultimately a decent, solid match at WrestleMania. And coming in at number 13 is The Phenom, The Undertaker. This was a no-brainer that he'd be on the top 15, especially with how many times he appeared despite not being able to compete for titles. He fought Shinsuke Nakamura at No Mercy, then went on to have a feud with The Rock all the way up to SummerSlam, had that match. Then you even had him wrestling tag matches with Jamie Colt Lee, teaming up with Daniel Bryan, I think, or somebody in those matches. Fought Gargano, fought Drew McIntyre in a 5-star match, the SmackDown after the Royal Rumble. That was amazing. Fighting Armstrong one last time for one more fight between both of them, and then fighting John Cena at WrestleMania, fighting Aleister Black at NXT TakeOver, fighting Kurt Angle. I mean, he's even in the match against Colt Lee. He's all around just had match after match after match. He's shown up, he's fought, poured his heart into it, and even though, there were wins and losses, he still performed to the best of his ability. But regardless, it was an end of an era, and some of the matches were just Some of them were very boring, slow-paced. Others were very good. Drew McIntyre and him had natural chemistry and just wrestled phenomenally all around. That's why both of them made the list, or he made the list. Spoiler. Question is where? Right now, I know NXT TakeOver is going on right now. Interesting enough. This was 13th place. And of course, this is just my top 15. If you all can think differently or want to think differently, feel free to let me know. Coming in at number 12, next on the list, though, is... Yes, sir, indeed. Don't be surprised. It is... Mr. Money in the Bank, Drew McIntyre. Drew McIntyre, what can be said about him? Starting off after winning the Andre the Giant Memorial Battle Royal in Season 3, WrestleMania, going on to fight Harmy at Extreme Rules for the WWE title. Did fail and then had a steel cage match against Cole Lee at No Mercy. Very good fight again. Goes on to win the Money in the Bank briefcase, but then drops off the radar for a long time, which is why he's ranked so low, because he just disappeared. Now the whole reason was to make you forget, so then when he came back, it's like, oh crap, at the worst possible time he returned around TLC, and then the threat started looming. He did not make a wrestle match at this WrestleMania, though, so he's only fought at one WrestleMania. But regardless, he made this list because he's Mr. Money in the Bank and the impending doom of what is to come. Knowing what will happen. This man has done a phenomenal job with his matches against Undertaker and truly made you afraid of when he's going to cash in. Now coming in at number 11, it is... Which one is the question? So long build up. You know, if you have issues with the weight, you can certainly skip. Feel free. This 27-minute video was not really well edited, and that is my fault. But it is your NXT champion, Scott Cole, at number 11. Scott Cole. What can be said? This man is truly a future world champion. If you have seen him carrying the aura and the special presence of being undefeated one-on-one. He has never lost in a one-on-one match in Universe mode, just in case if he does lose in the tournament. Keep in mind the tournament is outside of Universe mode, as well as NXT All-Stars, so we don't really count it per se. But your two-time NXT champion, started off the season kind of a new face, builds his way up, and becomes an unstoppable juggernaut, adding Matt King, Blake Daniels, Max Webb to the list, and even Prince Metallico in the future. That's just to name a few who he's knocked off. And those are some of the best names in NXT. Even having a great rivalry with Blake Daniels in his fallout with Jamie. over the NXT title, losing it and then winning it back. But certainly continued the momentum all the way to WrestleMania. He did lose in the Andre the Giant Memorial Battle Royal, but still, when you think of NXT this season, you cannot lie, you would have to think of Scott Cole because of the massive impact that he's had on NXT, being one of only 2 men to hold that championship twice. So props to him for making this list for the first time ever. Now coming into number 10 as we have finally arrived at the top 10 of the season. You are put on an even higher plateau if you have made this top 10. I know the top 15, the 11 through 15 is kind of like an extra flack for the people that didn't quite get there, but we're there. But we're still very good. When it came to making an impact, the top 10 are the elite. And number 10 is Samuel Armstrong. When you look at Armstrong this season, he didn't do much for the first half. But then when you look at the back half, oh man, the man was on a destructive path. I mean, he fights matches here and there, doesn't exactly make an impact in the first half. You're kind of wondering, all right, what's the direction here? Where are they going with this? And then, bang, he rolls into Hell in a Cell, fights Finn Balor, steamrolls his way into getting an automatic shot at the world champion, no matter who it is, at the Royal Rumble. But then every single Raw episode, he puts his opportunity on the line against people, knocks everybody who steps up, he knocks down, wins the Universal title in a one-sided affair against Tyler Wolf, takes it all the way through Elimination Chamber in an amazing main event, then goes all the way to the semi-main event of WrestleMania against Glass Bar and tears the house down, also fighting Undertaker along the way, and also when he won the Rumble, or at the Royal Rumble, won the title, he became the first ever Grand Slam champion. So props to him, but if he's lower on the list because it was all in the back half. Wasn't all the way through where you're feeling the whole ride of momentum. And now number 9 is the British Invasion. You might be wondering how. How is that possible? When you look at the context, they start off phenomenally. They waited right at the start of Season 4, cashed in their Dusty Rhodes Tag Team Classic victory of Season 3, took the opportunity to Season 4's first NXT TakeOver pay-per-view, winning the NXT Tag Team titles. They did have a rough patch in their first title reign, but when they re-won the Tag Team titles in shocking fashion, it was a rejuvenation for their careers, and it truly showed their true colors at being phenomenal tag team wrestlers, putting on great matches with Jeff Sanders and Ciampa, and also MK and the Assassin, and telling a great story arc in the last couple takeovers, making tag team wrestling still interesting and keeping the momentum going. But introducing number 8 this season is Tommaso Ciampa. He is actually above Johnny Gargano because he officially broke the record for longest championship title reign with a singles belt. Had like 41 episodes, just behind the all-time record of the Hitman when it comes to any championship. But for a singles championship, he held the Cruiserweight title for 41 episodes, and then had a great conclusion to his career, or at least this season, beating Johnny Gargano at TakeOver and truly putting doubt, or at least uncertainty in what's going to happen next in Season 5. but there was always room for improvement, and that match left an opportunity to improve upon their first fight. But all in all, he dominated this season, also winning the NXT Tag Team titles with Jeff Sanders for a short time, who undoubtedly is going to be a big force in NXT next season. But introducing number 7, you can't have this list without including the Hitmen in the conversation. They were number 1 last season. They fell off the horse this season. Why? Because that first takeover, they lost the NXT Tag Team titles and the NXT Television Championship, which was Road Killers. They struggled to keep their SmackDown Tag Team titles. The first reign, they lost it to Cedric Alexander and Brian Kendrick, which was still pretty cool for a short time. They re-won it, dominated everybody all the way to TLC, and then you finally, right around Survivor Series, where they fought and beat the Club. That was truly the revamp for them when it came to tag team wrestling. They brought the tag team energy that they finally had from NXT to the main roster. You could feel it. They found chemistry with DIS, and they rejuvenated themselves at TLC, fought an amazing match at Royal Rumble, but sadly Slim Reaper's career is now over. Road Killer stands out on his own as well by re-winning the Hardcore Championship for about 5 episodes, or 6 episodes, 5 episodes at Elimination Chamber. Really good chamber match, and showed that he is actually a pretty good singles wrestler. So he stood out this season as well. That the Hitmen didn't get the same aura they had in the first season, or the season before, but they still got to that level. Holding on to the titles for like 40 episodes this season, even though it's 2 reigns. And the next one, number 6, is Colt Lee, without a shadow of a doubt, winning the United States title twice and having a phenomenal feud running wild with Harvey. It wasn't the best ending, but he had great matches with The Undertaker, still put on good matches with guys like Drew McIntyre. He wasn't the front runner because he was kind of there in the first half of the season. He really stood out when it came to SummerSlam, where he put on a 5-star match against Kevin Draco, broke his neck, quote unquote, and that was the start for him. He didn't quite get anywhere where we wanted him to, but he still did enough to tell a phenomenal, or at least a really good story for this season. But still improvement. So number 5 this season, this is the top tier guys that when you think of season 4, you will remember these faces. Or at least that's the top 3. Either way. Number 5 is Harvey, without a shadow of a doubt. He made the top 5 once again, 2 seasons in a row. Slightly fell off the horse because of all the people who got in front of him. When you look at it, top heel for in the first 20 episodes of Universe Mode, having great matches with Drew McIntyre, Johnny Gargano, knocking off Ross Young, Mad Letter 5-3, before being fired. And when he came back, he fought Matt King at Survivor Series, beat him in a pretty decent match, pulled over Kevin Draco beat Ross Young at Royal Rumble. These are all just singles matches, of course, you know. So he held the the WWE title for the first 20 episodes, then kind of, fought Kevin Draco, put him over, then fought Jamie in a pretty good match, or at least a one-sided affair, because Harvey was crippled, goes into Mania, puts on a decent match to end in a career versus career 3 stages of hell match to cap off his career in Universe Mode, and without a doubt, he is a Hall of Famer. Just like Slim Reaper, Undertaker, and another man on this list who hasn't been named yet. But regardless, Harvey did make the list along with Colt Lee. They did manage this season. Those two managed to sneak out past the Hitmen this time. but barely. It was a tough choice. The Hitmen, if the only thing that I think held the Hitmen back was not putting on the same kind of caliber matches they were putting on in the third season more often, because they kind of struggled to find the magic, find the stride, but then they finally found it in the last couple pay-per-views, and it clicked for the Hitmen to work. To really bring back the energy they had in NXT when it came to great tag team wrestling. But regardless, Harvey did make 5th place this season, but he just couldn't egg out 4th, and then 3rd, 2nd, and 1st truly stood out on a plane on their own, and it's hard to argue. It is hard to argue. I think this is like the first time Matt King never made the top 15. I'm just stalling time because, poor editing skills on my part. I apologize for the really long video. Once again, you can skip it anytime. Coming in at number 4, this man not only defined Season 4, but he stood out in an amazing return, captured everyone's eye, not just new viewers, but the ones that remember him, came in with a new look, new attitude, beat Blake Daniels in his first pay-per-view return in NXT, had a short run in NXT, winning the United Kingdom title over Finn Balor back at Battleground, securing the Intercontinental Championship at Clash of Champions and holding both titles, not just that, joining Bullet Club all the way to the end of the season, and when he finally beat Balor and putting both his titles in line, taking over Bullet Club from Balor, so he's been kicked out. Arlington truly has made it this season. He's made it his mark on a giant return, and he dominated everything. Had a phenomenal match with Seth Rollins, Class R, and there were a few matches in or out there that everyone was kind of groaning about, really mad about. But all in all, Arlington, when you think of the Intercontinental Championship this season, you think of him wearing it. Number 3 truly was on a different plateau from number 4. This man easily was 3rd, Tyler the King Wolf. Reason why: he held the Intercontinental title at the start, made it feel prestigious by defending it in fatal 4-ways against great opponents, putting over Elias, making him look strong. And, Elias got to have his match with Class Par. But regardless, he and Elias managed to find a bit of chemistry at Battleground, put on a great match. Elias took the title from him in his second reign. His second reign was a little short because, he lost to Joe, re-securing it for a short run, only to lose it to Elias right after. But then, right after SummerSlam, gets put in a tournament to crown the new Universal Champion. He goes all the way, fighting great matches with Class Par, makes it to Hell in a Cell. He and Matt King have a 5-star match. He has a 5-star match against Jamie at Survivor Series, the WWE Champion at the time. The new generation versus the old. Loses the title, yes, at Royal Rumble. And before you question it, yes, he defended his title on Raw against Seth Rollins and several other guys. I can't think of off the top of my head. Then pulls off an amazing match at WrestleMania, going 3-1, and then announcing his retirement as a full-time wrestler, and will go into the Hall of Fame as well. Will he come back and wrestle a few matches? Maybe, who knows? I'll have to speak to him about it to see what he's interested in, but as of right now, he is done as a competitor when it comes to pursuing gold, or at least the World Championships. Who knows, maybe he'll want to have one final run in a tag team with Matt King. Who knows? I don't know. But he's retiring officially as a full-time competitor. But anyways, he made it his season. But then the two guys that truly stood out, and this was very difficult. Former WWE Champion Jamie came in at number 2 for me. If anybody thinks differently, go right ahead and tell me. Jamie started the season as NXT Champion, 10 episodes in, held the title to set the record for longest NXT Champion, which could be tied by Scott Cole next season. He's getting close. But when it comes to longest single run, it goes to Jamie, holding it at 28 episodes. Then, only 4 episodes later, or 3 episodes later, 4 episodes later, he lost his NXT career to Blake Daniels, having great 5-star matches with him. Goes immediately the night after, winning the WWE Championship, further breaking the neck of Kevin Draco, holding the title for 33 episodes, all the way to Mania, and then losing it to this man. Blake Daniels. Blake Daniels is number 1, the current WWE champion, the new WWE champion. He put on 5-star matches with Jamie in NXT, told a phenomenal underdog story, became the first ever NXT champion that won it twice, and then on that belt twice, and then went to the main, debuted, or lost his career to Scott Cole. The night after at the Royal Rumble, he makes his debut at the Royal Rumble, wins the Rumble, challenges Jamie, and then beats him for the WWE Championship. Truly, these two have had not just a story, but a story that progressed from how they started. If you look back in their first match in Season 3, it's hard to believe that they would be here at this point this fast. But both of them were the top dogs, truly, of this season. Let me know if you have a different opinion. Hope you all enjoyed this list. Sorry that it was very long. Hope you all enjoyed this video. Leave a like and subscribe to the channel, of course, if you choose. And as always, suit up, man army. See you all in the next video.